Yeah, ghosts love to just scream randomly.
Yeah, they scream like this. The Howie scream. I fucked that up a little bit, but it was pretty good.
That was. I knew exactly what scream you were doing. That's crazy.
Yeah, sorry.
Imagine if you were like walking late at night through your house and you just heard a.
Oh, I'd piss myself at least.
All I would do, you all know the perfect response. You go, huh? And it's, yeah, you respond. That's just it's a call and response with the ghost.
It's call and response. If you don't respond, then the tools come for you.
The ghost tools will come flying at you.
No, thank you.
No.
Oof. Get hit with a hammer. Ghost hammer. Regular hammer, no good. Ghost hammer, oof.
Even
really
worse.
Bad.
You know, you guys talking about ghost call made me think about something I've been thinking this week. The girlfriend Heidi and I have been watching an old reality show called Destination Truth.
Never heard of it. What the?
Destination Truth.
Destination Truth.
That's the road that our country's been on for the past couple of years.
I know. As soon as I was like, this is a goddamn QAnon show, isn't it? No, it's just like...
That's what's funny is that if that show was made today with that title, it would not be about ghosts.
It would not be about ghosts.
Yeah.
No.
It would be like stalking outside pizza places going like, y'all got kids in there? It'd be like that kind of...
I know the truth.
It's fine. It's a general enjoyable reality show about people getting scared in different countries looking for ghosts or monsters.
Do they ever get to their destination, the truth?
I don't know if they get to the truth. They get to destinations, right?
Okay.
They get to I better say
is it destination truth?
Destination truth parenthetical. We'll be happy if we just get there.
Okay,
in any way.
all right. If it's destination truth, then I expect them to be getting to the truth. But if it just says
to the truth,
destination truth, then it's like maybe we don't get to the truth, but we definitely have a destination every time.
The journey is more important than the arrival or whatever, or the actual destination. And they're doing the thing that every ghost hunter reality show does, right? Of like, you have the audio when you're in a spooky room. You're like, are there any ghosts here? Declare yourself, ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll hear like a creak, and they go back to their Los Angeles edit bay where they're like, let's listen to that audio and that waveform. Oh man, it really sounds like someone saying hello.
The best part of all those shows is that like 90% of the scary stuff was a bunch of grown people, the grown adults sitting in a room looking at a TV, like a computer monitor, and being like, did you see that? Oh, jeez.
Spooking yourself, yeah.
Oh, totally.
Spooking themselves in a dark closet in the middle of LA.
Oh, yeah. By the way, the entire appeal of like that old MTV show Fear was less that I don't think these guys are going to find ghosts. I want to see these college kids get scared.
Yeah.
No way. Hold on. Fear was good, okay? They had the mounted cameras. They had the mounted cameras.
They had the Sonori cam.
We need to do Blair Witch, but like...
That Sonori cam, right? Like had the Sonori cam where it was on their like pointed at their faces, correct?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Destination the Fear cam that I believe they pioneered, and it had that great.
I think that. Yeah, I do. I actually think that was one of the earlier, at least on TV, using that camera.
Destination Truth uses them too.
I'm trying to remember if they did it in a movie before that though. They had to, right? I feel like Danny Boyle or some shit did that.
The Blair Witch Project.
Did they do Sonori cam though?
But they didn't have like rigs. They didn't have like a.
But that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. Is because like that iconic scene where she's like, it's in that. I just watched it again the other night. They played it on Movie Stream I was watching.
Mm-hmm.
But that scene where it's in the middle of the night and she's like, "I love you, Mom," and like there's like boogers coming out of her nose, But like that camera, like that's like. That's the that's what you want in Fear, where they're like talking to the camera. They're like, "Pee is coming out of my wiener right now. It's cold. It's fear pee. It's not warm. It hurts.
The ghost is gonna smell my fear pee."
Yeah. So I have to think that it came from the Blair Witch Project because Fear is probably Blair Witch was 99. Fear was probably I don't know, maybe that year 2000. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up.
It had that like Stain song that was like, "I'm not the one who's so far away."
Oh yeah, that's right. Wow, Chad, really good job.
That was incredible.
Thank you. I used to hear it in the gym when I was working out. I used to hear it a lot.
Yeah, and you were like, I am not the one who's so far away. As you're like repping your biceps. You're like, I'm right here, motherfucker.
I gotta say, I totally forgot about this. It's been around since the 30s, apparently.
What?
Fear?
Yeah. Snorri cam.
Snorri cam, okay.
The concept of fear has been around since the 30s.
A good long time. Since DNA was invented.
Well, that's what he said. He said we have nothing to fear but fear itself, and that's when fear was invented.
That was when he said, "Oh my God, fear is here!" What? Oh man, that was a crazy decade. Mean Streets had a Snorri cam, and I remember it. He does it when he gets drunk in Mean Streets.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. What are we calling it? A Snorri cam?
That's the official name of it is SNORRI cam. Snorri cam.
Okay,
that's like
I thought it was like snoring.
Oh
yeah.
No, I don't know why they call it that.
Like when you said Snorri cam, I thought of like, oh, that's because like it's mounted to them, and when they're sleeping, it's like filming them snoring.
Tom had that exact same thought. It shows you the nasal passageway, so you know if they're sleeping.
It is not called the Snorri cam because two people whose last name was Snorri invented it. It's called it because I just invented it for that reason. Just like fear was invented during that quote, I have invented the name for this camera.
Well, yeah, Dr. Fear invented the concept.
Yes. President Dr. Fear invented that concept.
President Dr. Fear. I don't even remember why. I was like, why was I mentioning this? Oh, because a thought I've had about any of these Ghost Hunter shows, by the way, is that they listen to that audio and they're like, oh yeah, it sounds like a ghost is saying like, get out. And then I've never thought about it until Heidi pointed out. She's like, they're in Bolivia right now. Like, the ghost wouldn't say get out in English. And I was like, fucking shit, you're right. They would be in the native language. And I never thought about that.
What a missed opportunity, because you could have like the most like weird noises, like you could just raise up any noise you heard, right? Then be like, we brought a translator in, and what they heard was this thing from their language, and you could make it say anything you want, and people wouldn't like. There would be no refutation because it's just weird noise.
There's a whole other world of possibilities of, are you listening to this ghost in the wrong language?
All right, the three of us we're gonna create Fear 2, destination invention of fear, and that's gonna be.
Evolution of Fear.
Fear 2.0.
I'm thinking about becoming one of those guys in like a techno song who speaks.
Okay.
You know, Evolution of Fear is a great one.
Like, let's hear it. Let's hear it real quick.
Yeah. Evolution of Fear. You know, like that.
So that'd be like said right before the bass drops, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, like you tease that early on, and then and then like you've mixed that in with the bass drop, you know, it gets a little wild.
That's sick.
Okay, if we're gonna reboot Fear, what's your first location?
I'm gonna say the Winchester Murder House or whatever it's called. The one,
mansion, the mansion of madness.
Yeah, right. Where it's like the lady just kept building on hallways and rooms to her house because it confused the ghost.
Yeah. Mariana's Trench.
Just drop them down there.
Oh yeah, just stick them in a tube, drop them down into the trench. Who knows? There could be aliens down there. We've all talked about that. I mean,
yeah, we keep wanting to deny it. We keep wanting to forget it, but
there's goddamn kaiju down there, right? Pacific Rim told us.
We're gonna wake up. Yes, we will wake something up. There's a portal to hell down there.
What about like one of those World War II or not World War II? We'll go to Civil War battlefields. And you have to camp out on it in a tent,
like in like an old first generation trench, like the first trenches that were ever made.
Oh man, even more grim. Yeah, why not?
I love Let's do it. Are there still like World War II underground trenches? That's got to be like somewhat preserved in Europe, right? Like. Miles of tunnels.
I gotta imagine somewhere there's like a trench that they left up for like.
They turned it into the tube, mate. The tube, the trailway system, mate.
You wanted to go to a Civil War battlefield, though, is where you're thinking.
Yeah, I think that's where you can get some pretty bad ghost encounters, and they'll be speaking English, but it might be like weird because you know how like. When they play like recordings, like early recordings, and it's like they're singing like this. It's like I'm sure like Civil War MFs we're talking all strange,
well,
you know?
Tom, I don't know if you know this. This brings back to an earlier point you made. Everybody sang all the time before.
Oh, that's right.
Everybody would always sing because everyone was so happy. And then the day that fear was invented, we stopped sing-songs talking and started talking like the scared people that we are now.
Fear speech. Fear speech.
We lost the music in our hearts, really.
Now we speak the fear speech.
Oh, God. Speaking of fear.
Yes, speaking of fear, speaking of shivering frights.
God damn.
Oh, God. Goodness. Don't get me started on the shivering fright.
Let's get right into it. Dom, you brought to the table this month a new layer of fear to our lives.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so I'll just say, you know, in my travels of going to thrift stores looking for books for Paperback Paradise, I've come across a lot of weirdo books. Mm-hmm. I've come across some bootlegs as well, some knockoffs. And one of the series that I found was a series called Shivers. Mm-hmm. And it's a knockoff of Goosebumps, even to the point, you know, R.L. Stein. Well, who writes Shivers? M.D. Spencer.
M.D.
Okay?
Spencer. Mm-hmm.
But not Dr. Spencer. Like M.
Oh, no, not Dr. Spencer, M.D. No. M.D. Spencer. Michael Daniel Spencer. I don't know what his name is.
Yo, M.D. Spencer, in addition to writing Shivers books, also wrote, Chad, you'll love this, a 6-book series called Humanomorphs.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes. So I have a couple Humanomorphs as well.
What are the covers
really great.
Like?
Oh,
the covers are great. You should just go and take a look right now. I have one. I forget what the title of it is, but it's like armed guards, like guarding like some vat or something.
Oh, I see that one.
Is this when it turned into Paperback Paradise, right? Like,
yeah, I used one of these earlier in a Paperback Paradise post, and it's funny because like it's about children who can turn into adults, I guess. But like you see the transformation, you know, similar to the Animorphs transformation, but there's just like 3 drawings, like boy, middle transformation, adult, and in the middle of the middle transformation, it's like boy and then boy with jowls.
Yes. Yeah.
It sounds horrible.
The middle one just looks like a half ape person, and then the adult kind of looks like maybe an ape from Planet of the Apes.
Whoa, hold on, I've never seen this one motherfucker turn it into Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln and Caesar. These kids are, I think, hammering at a Godfather clock with a pipe.
And they're transforming into historical figures?
One is that both get assassinated.
Yes,
I hadn't thought about that.
One is Caesar, and what do you think happens in this one? Okay, I don't want to jump too far to the end of the book we just read, but, and I'm just going to put this out there, if you haven't read Shivers, this could be a spoiler for what we're about to talk about. I think both those kids die in that book, in that Humanomorphs book.
Horrific.
It could.
Maybe it's intentional. Maybe it's like a teen, like, suicide pact thing, because they're like, hey, bro, let's humanomorph into ancient rulers and get ourselves killed.
Let's go out on top.
Well, like that's the careful what you wish for. It's like, wouldn't it be great if we were like ancient rulers?
Yeah.
And you know, be careful what you wish for, because some of those ancient rulers were murdered, assassinated.
Yes.
There's also a meth kid on this cover, for blasting into the past. It's called, if you want to Google it.
Yes.
There's like a meth kid on the ground.
The kid on the left. Well,
both of them. There's just like a giant laboratory set on the ground.
And as Dom said, the middle version of the kid turning into the historical figure is definitely the meth version of that child.
It looks like he just has a neck beard.
Yeah.
The one turning into Abe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I actually, I guess like I made a Humanomorphs cover one time. Mm-hmm. Like I used it like years ago for Paperback Paradise, and like it got posted in one of those like someone posted them all to Imager and posted it on Reddit. Mm-hmm. And someone had sent it to me, and I'd seen the comments, and somebody had commented. They were like, my dad is M.D. Spencer. He wrote that Humanomorph series. That one was okay, but he made decent money from writing a similar series to Goosebumps called Shivers. And so that's when I was pretty intrigued. Like, I had the Shivers book, but then after I heard that, like, it was a success for him, which I think it was. I think he made like 20-something books of the Shivers series.
Yeah, according to the Wikipedia page, Shivers sold millions of copies worldwide.
God damn it. Probably just because like it's so it's so like similar to Goosebumps that I almost feel it's getting to that like Asylum movie world where like they make a DVD called like Transmorphers to be on the shelf next to Transformers.
Yes. I think
feels
that's what
like
it was.
that close.
I think you're right with that. And just reading the book, I don't know that there was much effort beyond just mimicking the style that R.L. Stine went with.
I get, yeah. Well, that's what I was found so fast. This book that we read, right? This Shivers book that we picked, the dime you picked for us was what's its stupid title? Like Cider House Rules.
Cider House Rules.
The Awful Apple Orchard. I just need to share something with the two of you in this chat. Speaking of knockoffs, have you seen Hellmaster?
No.
What is this? Unrelated.
There were a lot of Hellraiser knockoffs, and one of them is Hellmaster. There's one called Hellinger.
like a woman named Helen that kills you, or just
I think like they were like, okay, Hellraiser. Well, what if it was like just some guy's name, Hellinger?
Hellinger.
But anyway, that's just another great knockoff.
Dude,
it's like Freddy.
The cover of Hellinger looks good too.
Well, Hellmaster is what if Freddy Krueger was an albino but then had like stripe marks?
What if,
right? Like,
what if Freddy was a scary clown?
He's an evil referee.
He'll show you. He's an evil referee. He'll show you the way to hell and meet you there. Well, he's like, so he'll take you there, and then he'll also meet you there, like some kind of like magic jester.
Or he has to get his own car down there. He's like, just take the 405 down. I'll meet you there in 30 minutes.
He'll draw you a map, but he will not go with you because he is the master of hell, and he's very busy. But he'll meet you there eventually.
I'll be taking the World War II hell tubes down. Okay, I'll be taking the World War II tunnels down. I'll see you there.
The fear tube. I'll be taking the fear tube down.
The fear tube. But yeah, so I had posted one of these in the Paperback Paradise story. I was like, check this out, this Shivers book, just for funsies, you know. Yeah. And somebody replied and said, "Oh man, an Awful Apple Orchard. That one's crazy." And so I thought we should read that,
and we did.
It was indeed crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's just talk about the cover. Of. Well, actually, Awful Apple Orchard first.
I hate to distract us one last time, but I would like to, before we dive into this book specifically, if you go to the Shivers Wikipedia page, I think there's a hilarious cover, and Dom, I hope you have this one, of the Shivers book, Your Mama's a Werewolf. Have you guys seen
yeah, I saw that one, and I thought that was hilarious.
It's a really goofball-looking werewolf in a moon, staring at a kid who, I don't know, is listening to a cacophonous song in their head. They look like they're in
I've seen
pure
this
agony.
It's a great cover. Yeah,
it's just funny because it's like your mom's a werewolf. Like someone's. This is somebody's slam at recess.
Yeah, that kid on the cover is just reeling from the slam they heard.
But what it said, the title should be like, "What if the moon was a dog?" Like, look at that big boy.
The moon's a dog.
Is what it should be.
That's what it should be called. The moon's a dog.
The moon's a dog. This big round like Pomeranian just staring at you.
Dog moon rising.
So that cover looks like it was illustrated by an adult artist. The illustration on the Awful Apple Orchard looks like it was done by maybe one of MD Spencer's children.
Let me see it. I actually
I thought it was like maybe we couldn't get the cover on this like edition, so it's bootleg.
Maybe it's digital. Maybe there's more covers because maybe this is like for the Kindle re-release. They didn't want to pay the artist, so there was like, make some covers for me.
Yeah, well, because I will clarify the Goodreads cover is fine. The one on Goodreads is like, it's all right. It's like two kids holding hands.
Yeah, are you looking at the children with the apples one?
I mean,
I'm looking at the one that was clearly made by a child.
The one that's a car with apples in it.
Yes.
Yeah. That looks like a weird. You know what those Renaissance paintings when like someone paints over them, like when they ruined that Jesus.
Yeah, it's a bad restoration. Yeah,
it looks like a bad restoration of another painting. Yeah, it's like really fascinating.
The perspective of the trunk is really flipping my shit apart right now. I can't really figure it out. It's kind of like it's almost kind of nice. It's like a Picasso flat perspective they got going.
I really enjoy the perspective. Just doesn't matter on this one. Well, this book was bananas. I should think.
Well, despite being about apples,
it was bananas. It was bananas.
Nice.
I thought the first like 2/3 of this book was written by an algorithm. Like, you know, those oh, hey, I plugged in 100 episodes of Seinfeld and made a robot write episode of Seinfeld, which I also don't think any of those are real.
No,
anyway.
They're completely fake. You cannot. That's not how things work. They always frame those as like, I forced a computer. Like, that's part of the joke is that like somebody made a computer do a like horrible task,
and the computer hated it.
Please, no, stop making me watch Alex Mack episodes. I don't want to do this anymore.
I fucking hate Twitter.
I mean, has there been a joke on Twitter in the last 2 years? I don't know.
No.
I don't know if there was.
No. But what were you saying, Chad, before I rudely interrupted?
Well, no, it's just like the pacing of the story, like the dialogue, every single part of it just kind of felt like, I kept going back and rereading pages like, that doesn't connect to anything. That's just
even weirder. I think it's even weirder because it's quicker. Like the chapters are like even shorter than a Goosebumps chapter or Goosebumps chapter. They're like 2 pages long each chapter.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed that.
Yeah, actually.
Because in contrast, Goosebumps books will just go on and on and on. And at least this one was like to the point. I think this book, digitally, it's only like 76 pages or something. Maybe I'm just an adult who has to read kids' books for a podcast that I do with my friends, but I appreciate that.
No, it was respectful of our time. It was very easy to read. I will say that, like, to Chad's point, within the first couple of sentences, it's hitting the notes. It goes, "This is my sister. She said this. I'm her brother, blank. And here's her age. Here's my age. I'm more mature than her." Like, it does all of the Goosebumps things, right? Like,
within the first... teaching a template of how to write a Goosebumps book, you would just be like, okay, in this chapter you say this, this, and this, and this guy just did that. He like Mad Libs almost like a Goosebumps opening.
Yeah, I wonder if this was like, it started as like a spec to like ghostwrite the Goosebumps books. And they were like, sorry, MD, you're too crazy. And he was like, I'll make my own.
I'll do my own. I'm a doctor. No, you're not. Your initials are just MD. I'm a doctor, he said.
Dr. Fear. Yeah, he the only thing he doesn't do perfectly here is he is a little unclear as to what's going, because he starts like talking about the brother and sister and they're on vacation. Yeah. He's like, this vacation almost didn't happen because of me. Also, it's happening because of me. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about here? And he just is like jumping all over the place.
And then 3 chapters later, he then just tells, well, now I'll tell you why the vacation was almost didn't happen. I was like, okay, so why did we even do that last 2 chapters? There were only 2 pages, but still.
Yeah, it almost felt like, we talked about this with Goosebumps books too. It almost felt like it was like a first draft type of thing where there was like he maybe started the book on chapter 3 previously and then added 2 more chapters to begin it off and just forgot to change something out later on. Like there were some weird moments where I was like, this feels like it was just left over from the first draft.
Yeah, and to Chad's point about it feeling like it was written by an algorithm, it's like frequently like you're like, wait, where are we? Why are we talking about this? Like, if it seems almost deliberate as to what, like, to confuse you in a way, and we'll get to that in a minute. Like, I think the ending kind of like maybe makes that make sense, like that style of just strange encounters.
It also requires, I think the algorithmness to it, an alien trying to pretend to be a human wrote this, applies to me, of like the characters kind of just act on assumptions that I never would go along with. Like,
Oh, like, the motivations in this book are insane. There's absolutely that's nonsense. It's completely
like, are we missing information that like if there's apples in the car, like Dad's gonna freak out? Like, what's like all instances of the parents that we've seen would lead us to believe that they're not gonna like get crazy angry with their children.
No.
But the children act as though they're going to be in like the worst shit of their life.
Yo, they're completely separate from reality of what's going on. I mean, like,
something happened to these children and we were not presented with that information and we need to know what happened.
Well, they both have bike accidents, right? Like that's that first one of why the vacation almost didn't happen in the summer was, let me tell you, I was riding my bike and then I spilled and I went flying like a shotgun onto the ground.
And a car almost ran me over.
A car almost ran me over. I twisted my ankle, so vacation was canceled. And I'd be like, what? First off, my dad would make me go on vacation if I was bleeding from like all of my orifices. If we had already made plans, we're still going on the trip. Like that.
Yeah, didn't you go to Six Flags with like bleeding ears one time?
that sounds right. Yeah,
and you just kept getting off every roller coaster, going pointing at yours and being like, "It's so crazy! Look what it did to me."
Before Chad had to get on the rides, the guy running the ride was like, "All right, he's got bloody ears. He's gonna have to wear earmuffs. There's gonna be blood all over the children."
Yeah, like their sense of, I guess, because like, we'll just set up the general concept, right? They're going on vacation in the fall now because summer one got postponed.
Because twisting an ankle cancels a vacation.
I know, it was crazy. It's like, not like you got hit by a car, not that you broke a leg or anything, just twisted an ankle.
For 1 week, he could kind of not walk, and they'd cancel vacation.
Hey, if anything, use that as an excuse to like hop ahead on the rides at the amusement park. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. Think about it. Like, think about the number of times you've gone to an amusement park and there's the kid in the wheelchair with the broken leg, and they're getting into the beginning of the ride. It's a bonus. It's a vacation bonus. Take it.
Exactly. They instead go to a cabin because they all want to do different things outside. That's all the reason for it. Mm-hmm. And it's a cabin next to a cider apple orchard, and I think that's it. I think that's all that's in this town.
There are no other destinations in this town.
No. The family is constantly like, "Hey, do you want to go back to the apple orchard tomorrow?" I guess so, because there's nothing else to fucking do.
The mom says at the beginning of this story that these kids must ride their bikes to the cidery every single day. The cidery, and they have to go there, and they have to buy more apples for the mother, whose insatiable apple appetite can never be fed. It can never be fed to completion.
She's like, "This is the only time we ever get apples, so I'm going to make every fucking apple dish
and I must have the right apples. Rome apples this time, children."
Yeah, right. And like the dad's just napping. The dad's just like, I'm gonna go sleep in the cabin. You guys go get me some more apples.
Listen, we all know what's happening. The dad is going for a little J sesh in the bag.
He's a little J sesh in the cabin. Yeah, they get to so the kids are on their way to this awful apple orchard. They get to the cabin, and they pretty immediately have to go out, ride their bikes to the apple to the cidery, right?
Yeah, yep.
And they get there, and like there's like this weird panic about like eating donuts or something, right? Like the amount of Apple products they eat, like I think by the second or third Apple product they eat, I was like, oh my fucking god, I don't want to hear about any more Apple products, like, because I'm just imagining myself like being presented with all that stuff, and I'm like, I just want one of these things. I just need a donut.
Yeah, that first morning when they go and just get like nice cold cider and eat donuts by the lake is like, that was a beautiful image. Like that took me way to fall.
Right.
I totally saw it. And then they just kept going to apples. They just kept going back to apple treats.
Yeah, I gotta say that the writing in this, there were some parts where like he got a little repetitive, not as badly as RL does. But there were some parts where it was actually pretty well written. And the kids, here's what I do have to say in a positive to this book. These kids, not pieces of shit. The brother loves his sister, even though he fights with her like a normal brother and sister do. He talks about how he wants to protect her and keep her safe when they're going out on their trips. What a nice kid. I like this kid. RL, take notes. Make the kids not pieces of shit.
Even though I agree that it's probably better written overall. I feel like there's so many filler lines of just characters going like, "Oh, said Danny. Yes. Oh, I said."
Absolutely.
Like just over and over. Like if a character says a sound, it is described.
Right. And and lots of repetition in terms of like, this happened. My dad said this. When that happened, I did this. You know, there's a lot of like, it almost felt like again, RL does writing to fill some space up, right?
Totally. Despite it being half the length of the other one.
Yes.
But like even in that first couple like visits to the apple orchard, I think Dom or Paul, whichever one of you guys talk about how like they're completely disassociated with it. Like, it seems like everything at the apple orchard is fine. There's like nothing scary. Mm-hmm. There's just people shopping, And they are like, and these two kids are just freaking out. They're like,
yeah, they just have anxiety about like getting mom and dad mad or like losing the sister or what. There's all types of stuff.
Yeah, I really think that the kids don't actually encounter anything horrible in the beginning of this book. Like you said, Dom, it's purely the kids' fear. These are very fearful children, and which I can relate to, but like I don't know what their fears are founded upon. They sit by their dad does scare them at the beginning and tells them that there's ghosts at the cidery, right?
Yeah.
Like he tells them that some children were mashed up in the apple mashing machine, and that's a fucked up thing to tell some kids.
Yeah,
and then to tell your children that you're sending to the apple orchard
alone. By the way, don't. I'm not going. I gotta go J.O. in my bed. It's hotter for me that it's a bed I don't own. It's more fun for me.
It's a vacation, a vacation off. Anyway, why don't we talk about just what happens quickly, because not too much happens.
Not really, no.
No, but the ghost car is crazy.
The ghost car is insane. That's the thing is like, okay, well, let's talk about
Lay it out.
And so they go to the apple orchard, they're eating donuts, they're getting freaked out. Is this the moment where her shirt gets caught in the machine, or they go back and deal with the car and then they go back? That's what I thought.
All the weird quote-unquote haunted shit happens before she gets caught in the machine.
Yes. I mean, it's also a lot of like, they're just talking to a ghost that has no acknowledgement to them or anything. It's like, we gotta be strong. We gotta tell the ghost that we're not scared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of like assuming, like the kids just assume that like this is a ghost fucking with them, and then they just start talking to the ghost and stuff like that.
Right.
So they get back to their cabin, and they turn and see that the car is now filled with apples.
Yes. Well, real quick, we should lay out when they have that beautiful moment. They go and they do check out where the apples are smashed. The brother imagines his sister being smashed by it. Like he just sits there and ruminates upon the idea of his sister being smashed within the machine.
Well, it is making an awful sound.
Yes,
the machine.
Yes.
Which, as a kid, is kind of something that like you do, right? Like your imagination gets away from you, and you start thinking of like horrible thoughts of like, or like sounds like that can be really scary and stuff like that. Totally understandable. But then the sister decides, and to your point, Dom, of like hearing about all these apple things, only wanting one. Then the sister's like, I need more apples in my life, and she wants to eat one last apple before they leave. She takes a bite, looks at the apple, and then screams because there's a worm in the apple. Classic worm prank.
Sure.
Hiding out in an apple.
Worm prank.
Classic worm prank. Hide in an apple, scare a kid when they bite into an apple. She throws it on the ground. The brother notices that there wasn't a worm. Maybe?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, well, he notices that there wasn't a worm. In fact, there isn't even a bite out of the apple.
Yeah. So there's some stuff going on in these kids' minds that we truly do not understand.
And they're already like, if we told anyone about this, they wouldn't even believe them. Like, I'm pretty sure the people at the apple orchard would believe that they found a worm in there.
Yes.
I think even someone like mocks them. Like, I found a worm. Ha ha! This is what we do for a living.
Yeah, like, how dare you insult our apples?
Yeah.
But then they get back to the cabin and they see that the car is filled with apples.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but then they immediately make the assumption that Dad is going to be very mad at us.
Yeah,
even though it's like physically impossible for children to fill up a car with apples that quickly.
Yes.
Yeah. They have all of the alibi in the world. They have no way to do it. No mode. It's just kind of a like. By the way, there's also already previously been when they were driving by the orchard at the beginning, like an apple hit their window.
And that was like an moment in that, like, it was sort of like a horror movie moment, right? Where like a jump scare happens, which isn't...
In a movie would maybe be scary.
Yes.
In the book, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, not effective. Not effective. The only scary thing that happens is the kids look around and there's no one around. We don't see anybody. Where did the apple came from? Nowhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the dad goes like, there's even bad kids out in this part of the country. And I'm like, okay, so the dad is just going to assume that neighbors pranked them with apples or something.
Right.
It wouldn't be mad, but yeah, they're terrified. Like, we can't tell Dad. And there's like a whole multiple chapter run of just them trying to keep their parents indoors so that they don't see the apples in the car.
And creating some weird logic for how the ghost works. They like invent the rules for the ghost on the spot. They're like, well, if Dad comes out, he won't see the apples because people can't see the things that we see. Although there's no proof of that. That's never been established in any way.
Well, it just established in that moment where she took a bite of the apple, she was like, ooh, worm, and then he looked at the apple and there was no bite taken out of it.
Right, but
they're making a giant jump to apples become invisible.
Right. Yeah, way too much like filled, like, and that's kind of the algorithm, is that there's like pre-filled information.
Right.
Like in between the 2 points that doesn't quite add up.
Right, exactly.
Also, maybe the dad would be like, "Fuck yeah, free apples! Like, let's go home.
Yeah,
we got all the apples we need."
Yeah.
Guess what, kids? You don't.
Mom would be psyched.
Yeah, mom was like horny to cook up some apples. You know, like
yeah, they got there and dad was like eating. I don't know. I guess he was eating a sandwich, and he was like, "Honey, will you make me baked apples?" And like, come on, you old fuck, like, do something else with your life. You're on vacation. I don't know.
Upgrade your shit. Elevate your food, people. All right. Do an apple tartine or something like that. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Tartine. I just made that up. Tarine? I don't know.
I feel like I would have seen that on Great British Bake Off.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, they go back out to remove the apples themselves because Dad is going to get so mad.
Yeah, well, he's going to be interrupted in his escape J sesh.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, that would really upset him. And then the car is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, it's not a let's go tell Dad that our car was stolen. It is we can't let Dad know.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be so mad at us that we lost the car.
Mm-hmm.
And really does not make
no, it doesn't really make sense at all.
The kids are making all kinds of weird leaps of logic that like you're just like, wait, there's nothing has been established for this, kids. Like what?
It's like kids who had read Goosebumps and thought that that's how parents react all the time.
Yes,
like anytime you present parents with like evidence that something weird's going on, parents blame children.
You're right. These kids exist within a world where Goosebumps exist, and they've read them, and they think that this is how adults will react.
Which goes back to my point of this kind of like this whole series kind of feels like specs for Goosebumps. Like he was like, okay, well, like the parents always do this, so like how do I subvert that plot line? Like how do I do it differently? Well, I'll just have the kids like assume that the parents will act that way, you know?
Right.
You're right. So the craziest thing happens, I think, in the book next is they just sense that they can feel the car. Like the car is there, but it's invisible.
Yeah. They know that it's invisible for some reason.
They like, she's like, I can feel the door handle. It's cold here, which I could not tell if they were like phasing in and out of the car or just there's now a visible car.
I think it was just invisible and they were just feeling around. They found it and then they're like, you know, doing a like a mummers like farce thing where they're just like, oh, there's the invisible car and I'm pushing on it, you know, that type of stuff.
Sure. Okay, so like then they just like, we had to get all the apples out of the car. Again, this is all invisible, so they are just rummaging around and tossing out apples.
Yeah, Dad comes out, and he can see the car, I guess. I think, right? He sees the car. I can't remember exactly what happens.
Yeah, he certainly doesn't go, where is my car?
Yeah. So, but, he comes out after they're done. You're right, Chad. So they start just, like, throwing apples out of the car, which really worried me because, what if your Game Boy's in there and it's invisible and you throw that out of the car with the apples? Like, that was worrying me in that moment.
It becomes part of the car, in the car's void.
Yeah, like I don't want my cool stuff that I brought for the ride of vacation to get thrown out with the apples. That was my biggest worry.
I was worried about, like, in my mind, they were phase shifting somehow, right? Like the car was like kind of transparent and they were just like walking through it.
Uh-huh.
And then like at some point the car's going to shift back and you're going to end up just like sploinked into the middle of like some metal.
Like fused into it. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's what I was worried. Again, not at all to a concern in this book.
Well, these kids they're making up their own fears, so we all got to bring our fears to the table.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It's just, you know what? The author is just laying the foundation, and you can just add your own fear into it.
Bring BYOF, bring your own fear.
So they're getting all the apples out of the car, and then Dad comes out, and it's like, what are you kids doing? They're like, oh, we're playing a game.
Yeah, we're keeping warm. It's cold outside. We're keeping warm.
Yeah.
And okay, all right. Well, I'm past my refractory period. About to go back into the cabin.
Well, yeah, like a timer goes off on his watch. He's like, well, you know what time that is. See you, kids.
Sorry, kids. Nap time again. Yeah, they do this. They get all the stuff out, and then I don't remember exactly what happens after this point. I know that they do get back to the thing. I think the day ends, right? They go back inside. They have the baked apples for dinner.
They just keep going back to the orchard, like
over
and over.
That's
like
what it
just
is.
Back to it.
This is what happens. They go back inside. Mom wants to make the baked apples or whatever, but she doesn't have the right kind of apples. She wants Rome apples or whatever.
Rome apples.
Yeah, so she sends them back with money to go buy more. So they have to go back, and they ride their bikes back to the orchard again before dark. They have to get back before it gets dark and spooky out.
Oh yeah. Also, God forbid the parents give them a ride. It's just always ride your bikes.
It has been established. It has been established that Dad needs to jerk off and Mom is not driving for some reason. That has been established. So, they do this stuff and they go to ride back, and I think I don't know if you guys read this. I think I was maybe glossing over a little bit at this point, but I think a picket fence magically appears.
Yeah, what was that about?
They have another incident where something that they couldn't see, like she runs into an invisible fence and gets fucked up, the sister. And immediately they're like, it was the ghost.
Yeah.
So then they go, okay, let's leave our bikes here and let's run to the orchard. Let's run through the orchard to the apple place and get the apples.
Yes. And this is all assuming that there is a ghost. Which I don't know about you guys, but in every ghost story I've ever heard or ever read or ever seen, when a ghost is fucking with you, they, like you said in the beginning of this podcast, they want to make a noise. They want to get your attention and be like, hey, fucker, I'm here and I spooked you. You know, like they want.
I'm not the one that's so far away.
They want to spook your ass and they want you to know. They want that. If we know one thing about ghosts, it's that they're very egotistical and they need to take credit for their spooks that they cause.
Yes. Because if you're not getting credit for it, what are you doing it for? The love of the scare? No, come on.
No one's doing it for that reason anymore.
I mean, also, Paul, I think, like, not only was the ghost never makes their presence known. So the ghost does not exist in my mind. No. They also, like, the dad just said, like, at the dinner table, some kids died in there. Like, but then no one at the orchard or anything is like, there's nothing about a legend. There's no backstory to add into the fear, right?
Nothing.
There's never
nothing.
There's nothing. So there's virtually, I keep picturing like a very nice sunny apple orchard where people are just like working and kids are playing, and meanwhile 2 kids are just like freaking the fuck out, running around going.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like I realized this in you talking about that, Chad. It's like, who else do these characters interact with?
No one.
And there's one other character.
Well, there's a man. There's a man, right?
That's right. That's what happens here,
the apple farmer with the machine that's getting the apples, right?
Yes.
Why don't you explain it, Paul?
So after they run into the picket fence and decide the ghost is blocking their way to the cidery, they decide to go through the orchard like we talked about and go in the back way. So they are going through, and before they set out, they said, we need to show the ghost that we're not afraid of it, even though the ghost has not encountered them in any way, or said anything, or been like, ooh, you guys are so scared, I got you. Like, none of that has happened. They're like, we need to show this ghost. We need to mad dog this ghost. We need to stare it down. So they discover the back of the place where the smasher is at, where the macerator of the apples is at, and they are standing by the door, and a man comes riding up on a tractor where he's hauling apples, and he says, "Hey kids, you want to see it?" And he opens up the door. He shows them the machinery and everything. He's like, "Check this out. This is the crazy shit that we do to make apple cider." Dumps a bunch of apples in, drives off, and leaves the kids standing next to the deadly machinery. And then the brother says to his sister, who he needs to protect, "You stay here. And do not move, and I'll go buy the apples that we need, that Mom needs." He goes and he buys the apples, comes back, sister's caught in the machinery instantly.
I know, I'm so funny. It seems like she just kind of like just happened to like meander over and put her like sweater in the mechanic.
There's no explanation. She's just in the machinery when he gets back. She doesn't even say how she got in there. She's halfway up the machinery. He has to rescue her from it. He's pulling her. He can't beat the machinery. And then he puts all his weight on her, yanks her out, and they flee with their apples safely.
Yeah. In the middle of the day, again, I think this is operating hours, right?
There's no one watching the machinery.
There's
No.
I mean, I guess that's scary, right? Like, it could be.
Yes.
Just neglect.
OSHA violations are scarier than ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, that's kind of the biggest scare, is a genuine, like, oh, we're going to die in the smasher.
Yeah. It's pretty terrifying. It's a pretty terrifying image. And he, like, I think there are a couple times where he imagines blood, like when his mom makes them food, like they imagine that everything...
Oh, yeah. There's a glass of cider. It's like, it looked like blood. I couldn't eat it.
Yeah.
There's like this scene where they had to eat peanut butter and jelly. Oh, that's what it was.
Yes.
Once they see the car full of apples, they have to go inside to eat lunch. Or maybe, I think they maybe even eat lunch outside, but just on the other side of the house.
Yeah.
And they're eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with a glass of apple cider, which is like, come on, Mom, that is way too much sugar.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like dreading the whole meal, but he's thinking about those apples, and he's like, the cider looked like blood. He's like the kids are just in their own anxious agony throughout the whole book.
It's just anxiety.
They're just Tweak from South Park, just like kind of just freaking out.
Yes.
Yeah, because they're all jacked up on sugar. They fucking got high on several cider donuts. They got back and they're all tweaking out.
And then the mom tried to shove more sugar down their gullet.
She's feeding them apples. She's not sick of it. Yeah.
Their body is psychologically trying to defend them against the sugar intake that they're being jammed full of. You know, it's like the 90s and nobody's aware that sugar gives you diabetes, and these kids' bodies are fighting back.
Oh, you need some healthy juice? Have some Capri Sun. Drink this.
Fruit juice?
Yeah, have some fiberless sugar water.
Yeah.
Juicy juice. It's double juice.
Oh my gosh. Juicy juice. Oh my gosh. The can. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Drink it straight from the can. Yeah, so she gets caught in the thing, and but they do get out of it, and they head home. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, why don't we cut to the chase here? In the middle of the night, they're just like feeling weird. Having
nightmares?
Yeah, I also, I wanted to point out there's one also detail that seemed to be a non sequitur, I guess, that the girl, I forget their names, the girl doesn't remember who she is for a moment.
Yeah.
That's right.
Which I thought was a big deal, because for the next third of the book, there's a lot of like, my sister is acting like I don't know her, and she's talking like someone else. Like, okay, so she's possessed by the ghost.
Yes.
No, not at all. That's not even a thing.
No, she's just having this weird. I guess it makes sense in the ending here. So
yeah, Dom, explain it. Go for it.
Yeah, so like in the middle of their night, they're like, so are they having nightmares? Is that what's happening?
I think. Well, so the dad says that that they have to go back to the cider place tomorrow, and they're terrified.
Oh yeah, so they are having those anxiety nightmares.
Yes,
where you keep waking up about the next day.
They're full of sugar, so they can't sleep, and they're having terrors.
Yeah, but then the sister, basically, who was suddenly like just acting so strange, suddenly is like very peaceful and calm and understands, and she starts telling the boy, "We've got to go back to the cidery right now. Yep. We have to go to the orchard."
Mm-hmm.
And the boy is like, she's speaking like it doesn't sound like her voice. She sounds so calm after freaking out for this whole book. And they head back to the apple smasher place, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for about four I really want to say there's like 4 chapters of.
But the chapters are a single page sometimes.
That's true. It was just a lot of like,
the sequence is just broken up into 4 chapters.
It's just broken up into like, sister, tell me why we're going here. Just don't worry, just come on. Sister, come on. And it's just like the entire length of the way.
And in the spirit of Goosebumps, the chapters try to end on like cliffhangers, right? And there's a couple classic Goosebumps cliffhangers where what is actually happening. You can call that what is actually scaring the kids, right? Like when she bites into the apple and there's the worm, you're like, oh, there's going to be a worm on the next page, right? There's a couple of those. But this book leans more into the style of cliffhanger where the kid is like, maybe we'll die at the end of the chapter, and then you just continues, and then the story continues on, right? Like, so that's what the cliffhangers here are as they break the sequence of them going up to the machinery into chapters. Is basically a bunch of these kind of cliffhangers.
You're very true. You're very right. I was just calling out because I just kept going like, okay, all right. So what's next? Okay. So I keep asking about it. Yes. But I stopped you in the middle of getting to the.
Go ahead, Dom.
Getting to the big finish.
Well, it was a little confusing for me, this part, like reading, like I knew what they were trying to look at or describe, but I couldn't picture where they were. So why don't, I don't know, Chad or
I can
Paul,
explain it.
Just explain up to the point where they realize,
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of, it doesn't make any sense why the kids go. There's no good motivation. There's literally no good motivation. They're terrified of this place. The sister suddenly isn't, and she says, we have to go back. And this brother is like, okay. And just sort of like goes along with it, right? Scared the whole time. And they're walking along and they get there and they get to the machine and they open up the doors and there's blood on everything. The entire thing is covered in blood. The masher is filled with clothing, torn clothing, which is their clothing. And then they see their clothing in the masher.
Yeah, like hanging. They're like, it's rags. No, wait, it's jeans. No, wait, it's my orange shirt and your yellow shirt.
Yeah. Presumably also, like, I guess they were dancing around. I presume, like, their corpses, like, their mashed torso is, like, sticking out of it. I saw a way more, like, barbaric picture.
So they don't...
They get into it. Well, go on, Paul.
Yeah, that's the craziest part of this book. This book goes into a realm that Goosebumps, I don't think, ever would.
No.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you see their bodies, Chad, but the boy graphically describes the process of their bodies being smashed inside of the thing to the point where he says our hips made it in, and when it got to our hips, the machine.
Yeah, why don't we? I'm sorry, Paul.
No.
Let me just interject.
I would love to hear.
So to reveal the whole thing here, the children were killed in the machine, and they're ghosts, and they're looking at the scene where they were killed.
Yes.
Earlier that day.
Yeah, and they work, and it's implied, I guess, that they were killed when the sister got caught in the machine earlier that day.
He didn't actually pull her free. They both just went in.
Even though they went home and the parents talked to them.
Exactly.
Well, that's okay. That's like ghost story thing. Like, I gave someone a ride home and then I went back because like I went to return their sweater and they were like, my son's been dead for 10 years.
Sure.
Give me that sweater.
Okay. Sure.
It threw me a little bit though too, Paul. I will say, like, just the it has that moment of like, oh my god, they were dead the last 2 days or what. Like, yeah, I guess
it's more insulting in the sense that like if they had seen a ghost, like an apparition, and interacted with a kid in the same way, and the kid disappeared and had been dead for 100 years, then I would have been more inclined to be like, okay, the parents saw them as ghosts, that's fine. But it's never like established. The whole time we're dealing with the beginning of this book is the parents can't see ghost stuff, right? And then the kids become ghosts, and suddenly the parents can see them. You know what I'm saying?
It's very strange. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this very detail, and then because like the book kind of doesn't make sense otherwise.
Yeah,
like
sure.
or looking back and see after seeing this reveal.
Yeah,
but let me just read.
Let's hear.
Let me just read this right here. So they're at the scene. The sister knows. The boy is just realizing. He says, I realized my mouth was still open. I closed it, and very slowly I began to get the idea. I found I could look at the bodies up there without shivering or gagging. I could examine the way the clothing on them had been pulled or torn by the machinery. It must have pulled and torn at the flesh, my flesh, Sarah's flesh, in exactly the same way, biting, crushing, tearing. As I thought about it, it became interesting. Our heads and arms must have been chewed up first.
Dude.
But they weren't thick enough to jam the machinery. The belt kept pushing us up and the machinery kept chewing at us. From the way things looked up there, it must have been our hips that finally brought the machine to a stop.
Grim.
Yeah.
Grim. That is so grisly, gruesome.
I loved it, by the way, too. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, this is coming out of... Like, at this point, the most the ghost had done was throw apples at them. We didn't, like, one of the scares that we just glanced over was...
Maybe that was a ghost. That could have just been anyone. They were just like, someone threw an apple when we were riding our car, and I looked, and there was no one there. It's like, well, the car was moving. How would you know?
Yeah, or when they're running through the orchard later, their apples hit them. Like, maybe the apples are just falling.
Maybe it's a windy day.
Yeah,
let me finish this scene though, because this is so strange. But we have to get back to the ghost stuff because that is just so important to this weird reveal. Well, Sarah said, thanks for trying to save me. Sure, I said. I chuckled a little. Always glad to help out, Sarah laughed. Always glad to lend a hand, I said. We laughed even harder. Sarah caught her breath. She tried twice to say something, but she kept on laughing. Finally, she was able to get out the words she was trying to say. Thanks for sticking your nose in my business. And we laughed and laughed. It's like this really, so gruesome. Of a picture they described, and then the children just immediately begin laughing, and it's shortly after that it ends, and they're just basically like, they say, I'll just read it. So what do you think we should do now? Sarah asked. Well, I said, first we'll wait around to see the fun when somebody comes to open up in the morning. The fun. That is not going to be fun.
No.
Yeah, Sarah said, that'll be great. Then I think we'll just hang out for a while. Sooner or later, a couple of kids just like us are going to come along. Yeah, Sarah said. Yeah, I said. And then we'll start having some real fun.
And then we'll fuck them up mentally and get them sucked in until their hips stop the machine.
Keep the cycle of blood going.
Yes, the blood of the cider. But like, it's really crazy how they're like, oh my God, that's our bodies. Haha, LOL, that was funny. I wish we could have saved each other. Oh well.
They kept adding tags, Dom. I think you're right. There's like even like 2 more after what you read of like, thanks for keeping an eye out for me.
Yeah.
Like, I guess because their eye went in the grinder?
Yeah, because their entire bodies got smashed. Like, their heads got fucking smashed by this horrible thing. And then their first instinct is to go, LOL, we're ghosts now. Okay, well, like, let's wait around for the fun to happen. Like, the blood-curdling screams.
Yeah, let's wait till our parents have to come and identify our bodies.
Yeah, like we have to watch mom fucking bawl her eyes out because like her children don't exist anymore. Just their hips and legs exist. So yeah, quite grisly. I keep using that word, but yeah, I don't know.
Grisly.
It's quite.
And the thing is, like, the book is super tame up until this point, which like I'm okay with the grisly ending because I'm an adult and I think it's like, okay, cool. Finally, some like actual horror that we're reading about, you know. But it's just insane. It's just a shock. I was laughing when I finished reading this book because it was so ridiculously violent.
Well, it's like Goosebumps for babies for about like 90% of it,
right?
Which it's like very just tame of like the apples are falling on us. Whoa,
right?
Like, sure, okay, fine. This is like if Goosebumps is too scary, and then it goes straight to like Eli Roth wrote the last 10 pages,
right? It's just it's pure it's torture porn at the end.
Sure.
Well, so how does that explain all of the ghost stuff that happens before they're ghosts? So I guess was that putting the ends together there? Does that mean that like ghost lured them to their death and now they're the new ghosts?
Yes, that's the implication that I got from it.
I got that the author wanted to get that across, but since I didn't feel like that had been earned, I was like, I think these 2 kids just convinced themselves that ghosts exist so much that they manifested as ghosts. You know what I mean? Like, like the idea, just following what we talked about, where like the dad one time at breakfast goes, you know, some kids died in there. Like that just went such wild in their imagination that they just ended up making it real. Like that kind of thing.
They secreted themselves into ghosts.
Totally. Yeah, that they're being so, like, you already called it out, Dom, like, them being so glib about their death. Like, I thought maybe there's gonna be a moment of like, oh, that's that kind of thing where you're just so scared that you start laughing.
Yeah.
Like the night of 2016 election, I just started laughing in my car because I was terrified.
Yes.
Like, that kind of thing.
I think it's to take the edge off of the grimness a little bit, right? For the reader, for the child reader, so they can be like, oh, well, it's not bad that they died. They're happy now, you know?
Happy, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what he's going for there. But I mean, it's a crazy ending. It's one of the better endings. It's one of the better endings to any of these books that we've read. So I can give that. And I don't know. I'll say this about his writing versus RL's. At least RL had the tact not to ever say about anyone getting goosebumps in his books. This guy talks about the kids shivering multiple times throughout this book.
Oh, I don't know. I think Goosebumps have come up in Goosebumps.
Does he?
I don't know. Now I want to check. That's a good point.
I really want to go through the other Shivers books, at least another one, and see how many times he says someone shivers, and see if that's like a thing that he just kind of throws in constantly. It just felt very like title droppy a lot of times throughout
it's funny too because I kept forgetting before we read this book. I kept trying to find it. I was like, I cannot find this goddamn book series called Chillers. I kept searching apple cider chillers and getting all of these great alcoholic drinks. I did not mean to realize, it's Shivers. He should have dropped it more in his book because I kept forgetting the title.
Well, he's got you now. Now you know.
Now I know. Dom, I'm so glad you kind of found like it fell into your lap, these cursed books.
Yeah, it was very, very, very strange because I was always like, yeah, it would be fun to review one of these. And then somebody replied to my Instagram story and they were like, oh, yeah, the Awful Apple Orchard, fucking kids got ground up by the machine. I was like, oh my God. So,
yeah, I want to know. I want to know if any more have this grisly of a style to them.
I think they have to be because it was like this guy, it seemed to be completely independent, this process. And yeah, I mean, he killed kids in this book. I wonder if he killed kids in other books.
I would be absolutely interested because it was a really quick, easy read, even more so than a Goosebumps. I would definitely read another Shivers. I'd get shivered again, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, if you've enjoyed this breakdown of Shivers, please let us know. I think we were talking about maybe putting a poll up on our Patreon, a bunch of different Shivers books, particularly to let people pick the next one.
Yeah,
there's some just scrolling across these titles. I hadn't looked them up. Like some of them are just like
hilarious titles.
There's some hilarious titles. One of them is called...
straight ripped off of Goosebumps, though. Some of them.
Oh yes. Yeah, sure, totally. But then there's like Babyface and the Killer Mob. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The Animal Rebellion.
Idea. And then there's graves. There's graves on the cover of that one. It's like, wait, the Killer Mob? What's going on here?
I think my favorite title is Night of the Goat Boy.
That's good. What about the one that's like the farm? That's like it's like got all these evil animals on it,
and
like some farmers.
Rebellion, right? I see.
Yeah, the Animal Rebellion, and there's like baby chicks like standing next to like a farmer's like dead foot.
It's just Animal Farm, basically, I guess.
There's one called Watch 'Em Kill.
Yeah, Watch 'Em Kill. I think we should read Watch 'Em Kill. I think that might be like a Gremlins book or something.
I mean, the cover is definitely a Gremlins ripoff. Like,
let me see this.
Borderline copyright infringement.
Watch 'Em Kill. Someone's got to die in that one.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. Also, I'm just going through like all the comments on Goodreads for all these books. Like, whatever reason, half of them are in Arabic, and like I think that's the right term for that type of text, Arabic. Like
Arabic's a language.
I hope this is one of those things where like we find out that for whatever reason, culturally, like Goosebumps didn't make an impression in the Middle East, but like Shivers was fucking huge. The way like Tomcat is huge in Mexico for some reason.
Yeah,
like that kind of thing.
Yeah, like Shivers are the Goosebumps of Arabic speaking countries, basically.
Yeah. I hope that's how it works, because like the writer, I sent you guys a picture of it. This is just a dad. MD Spencer is just like a boat dad for sure.
He looks like whatchamacallit, from the 90s Bulls, the coach.
Phil Jackson.
He looks like Phil Jackson.
This Richard Dreyfuss Phil Jackson motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. Or yeah, I could see the Richard Dreyfuss too. Yeah, it's the mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He described the grisly crushing of children at the end of his book. So, Dr. Spencer, I'm on board.
RL doesn't have a doctor's license.
No, he doesn't have a doctorate in fear.
He's medically certified a sick fuck. Okay. He was like, I have children. Why don't I imagine children being mashed up by a machine that stops when it gets to their little children hips? Sick man.
This was a blast to read. Tom, thank you for finding this, really.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah,
good.
Thanks to whoever sent me that message, spoiling the ending for me.
Good pull, Dom. Good pull.
Great.
By the way, if you want to vote on which Shivers book we read, other books we cover, or get access to bonus episodes like Camp Goosebuds, you can go to patreon.com/Goosebuds.
I think we should probably just watch Hellmaster next. Like, we should just only do knockoffs for the rest of the show.
I'm fine with that.
I'm happy to watch Hellmaster.
We can change the name of the show to Goosebunk.
Goosebunks.
Yeah. Boys, any other final thoughts about apple cider?
I love it. I love it. That's my thought on it. Even I don't care if it kills children. If children are killed in the making of it, I love it.
Worth it.
I would honestly like one apple cider donut.
Yeah,
please.
that sounds really good. I mean, for the fall's coming in, I hope next time you guys take a bite of an apple cider donut, or just even some nice, like, cool fall flavors, you think about children's pelvises just mashed up.
I hope that none of you have to suffer a ghost worm in the next apple cider thing you have to
Thank
enjoy.
Thank you, Paul. No one's ever
You're
wishing
welcome.
that for me. I
I know.
appreciate that.
It's not. It's the time of year to be wishing that towards people. So do that for the ones you love.
All right, should we wrap it up, boys?
Yeah,
I think so.
Let's shiver our way out of here. I'm feeling a little chilly.
Okay, I'm gonna go wrap up. I'll see you guys soon.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Have a great apple.
Have a good Halloween, everyone. Love you.
Do your scream, Dom.
Yeah. You got it. I keep
I know
hurting
it.
my throat when I try
sorry.
to do it.
I'm sorry.
It's
No.
itching now.
You
It's really
sacrifice for
good.
your art.
It's really good.
This episode of Goosebuds is brought to you by these wonderful Patreon supporters:
We'd like to thank Hollis Hornbeak,
Stefan Jive Turkey Kuwabara,
Michael McDowell,
Cameron Murphy Audio,
Josh Robertson,
David Cron,
Nick Hinkle,
Mickey C,
Clayton C.,
Nathan Dolezal,
Buddy Morrill,
Mike Lanteri,
Mel Dipson,
Alacade,
Jim Greaves,
Natu Pearl Henderson,
Joshua Lopez,
Jared Mason,
Afsheen,
Zankeef,
Aaron T. Strunk,
Danky McStanky,
Victor,
Dango Twists,
Zenticles,
Brian Wells, Stealth Bates,
Becca McWilliams,
Joseph Miranda,
Patrick Reynolds,
Scott Colopy,
Robert Moon,
Third Sergio,
Jason Crooker,
John Keaty,
Jonas Blatterman,
Clay Castle,
Miguel Pardo,
Christina Doling,
Gaff,
Matt the Half-Court Warlock Bachelor,
Matthew Extraterrestrial,
Sniggy,
Reinfected,
Maddie,
Eshak Arafin,
Gregory D. Warren,
Alan Saylor,
Mikey Jello,
Sam Hash,
Chosen One,
Cody Redfield,
Rich Hillborn,
Bradford Coulter,
Aiden Alexander Dace,
Dylan Vaughn,
Paul Grasso,
Trans Rights,
Joe, remember to save early and often. Scott, you're right. Everyone save everything you're working on right now.
Walter Fraser,
2 in the slink, 1 also in the slink, all 3 in the slink then.
Joshua Jacobwitz,
Justin Wagman,
Taylor Dirks,
Cardboard Walk,
the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation,
Leviathan,
Up and Champ,
Rug,
Jonas Eggman,
Trendy Moron,
Low Belly Hate Me,
Alicia Graith,
Trent Davis,
Molloy Stir,
Brock Graham,
Carl,
Anthony Kuwabara,
Joe Gorman,
Connor Church,
Vincent Modica, Heath Robinson,
Luke Canoodles,
Blake Alvarez,
Elusive Koala,
Hugh Bolin,
Yanni Markovina,
Space Tiger, watch out,
Zambambino,
Brooke X,
Joe,
Jesus Christ,
Corey Shelley,
Jeremy Lowe,
Christian Vanskever,
Brian Hobgood,
Jake Young,
Jordan Lockwood,
Slumlord Onion,
Foolish for Deborah,
Valhalla Black,
Divaldi,
Nathan Remick,
Joe Spooky Digital Ghost Tierney,
Patreon_donator, yo,
Tom Whittam,
Reed Stubendike,
Nicholas Johnson,
John the Howling Eye Duda,
Kevin Hamilton,
Joey Evans,
Lord Cornwallis,
Andrew Fingers Crossed for a Vaccine by Slinksmith, Jadzik,
Eric England,
Carewise Gamgee,
Cardamom Burkambino,
Elizabeth Steenweg,
Swag Bumps Nightmare at Camp Yellow Squire,
Andrew Evans,
Mike Roch, haha, gotcha, it's actually Spencer, solid Spencer, you got me again,
Cameron Hansen,
Just Garrett,
Daddy's Happy Apple Boy,
Etonomore,
General Lee Depressing,
Goon Cahoots,
straightforward non-funny name for Dom,
Dylan McCann,
Yeah,
SNES Chalmers,
Buffcat,
Glenn,
Sean Minot,
Dan,
Wiggle It,
Boss Garrettson, Egg Baby,
Chris Pittman,
Chip Hansen,
John Pigeon Hat Barber,
Jared Nutty,
R.L. Slink,
Stinklich,
Zach Bush,
Calamity Carl,
Matt McClellan,
Germ Juice.
Jonas Envoldson,
We'll be right back to our all-male Christmas orgy Miracle on 30 Foreskins after these messages. Would they be circumcised because it's a Christian holiday, right? I'm trying to think of it. It's a good name.
Dr. Worm,
Nick Johnson,
J.R. Chip,
Alex Moon the Robo Dog,
The Voyant, Claire,
Stephen Day,
Ben Bohan,
Tanya Turtle,
Sarah Kemp,
Kate Ann Franklin,
Oze,
Brett,
Chili Dish Gambino,
Sadie Kitson,
Bad Vibes Jr.,
Jeremy Bowser. Dude, does your uncle work at Nintendo now?
Ryan Carroll,
Mudbark,
Daniel Hirschberger,
Juan Jalapena,
Megan McCormick Mason,
Ninja Breadman,
Adam Yagoofed,
Hood Lemon,
S,
Muscles Bear,
Wacky Username,
Keith Halcrow,
Manuel Aviles,
Wesley,
Got Little Old Me Pretty Freaked,
Chris Keeper of the Mastosphere Nelson,
Aogon,
Nata S, say it backwards,
Dakota Campion,
Russell Gore,
Timothy Misodulakis,
Matthew Stevens,
Clay McCarty,
Wonderskin,
Jimmy Soul,
Wade Norcross,
Parker Lee,
Hamboat,
Ashley W,
Comfy System,
the _venomous_ Viper,
Taylor Shedden,
Jordan Slamsey,
Flemily,
Nicholas Butler,
Matthew Sutton,
Raymond Hernandez,
Patrick Murphy,
The Crow Fens, Kelly the Barbarian,
Cod Salmon,
Jeffrey Owen Cawhey,
Kelsey Kinnaman,
Who's Ryan,
Rustle Casberg,
Peanutberg,
Dr. Chocula,
Xavier Jimenez,
Liam Neeson's Doe,
Brendan Arafin,
Kit,
Chris Putrikis,
John W.,
Sunset Streak,
Adam G.,
Meet Virginia, MEAT,
The Shreknomicon, Kenyon Hansen,
Robert Allen Cook III, Michael Mello,
Dungeon Kappa,
Adam Muth, and Ashley Northup.
Mike Spaghetti Jones.
And we'd like to thank these new names to the Book of Names.
Welcome new patron Zach Weir.
MC Hamster,
Welcome new patron Redemption.
Tamjid Munir,
Welcome new patron Michael Kupka.
Tobias Clark, Julian Lamendia.
Welcome new patron Anthony Sims.
Congratulations, you're on our list and probably some other people's list now. Hopefully they're good lists. I don't know.
Thank you all so very much. Have a good spooky October.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.